Welcome to Talk Design Podcast, the space where creativity meets conversation. I'm Adrian Ramsay, your host, and as someone deeply entrenched in the world of design, I'm thrilled to introduce you to the minds that inspire me and the hope that they will spark something special within you too. From a design past crafting women's swimwear to pushing the boundaries of performance sportswear, from mountaineering to international yachting, to implementing systematic innovation solutions that transcend boundaries in aerospace industry. My heart remains rooted in architecture, and exploring the emotional tapestry woven by built spaces is my fascination. My journey in design has been what can only be described as a life of design. I want to thank you for lending me your ears. I'm eager to embark on this next episode together. My guest on Talk Design today is Maryann Schmidt. Now, Maryann is a co-host, like I'm a co-host, on Dream Homes Revealed. So I've had the pleasure of hanging out with her. I get to see her on TV when I'm on TV at the same time, which is very exciting. But also hanging out with her and exploring like design with her, doing what makes her light up. Now, she is an interior designer from Sydney. She's married to a builder, which is really handy. So she really understands the difference between just drawing a picture and actually making it fit as well. She's won tons of awards. She has a beautiful client list and based in Sydney, as I say, but we'll work beyond there. She's just a lot of fun and a lot of knowledge. Maryann, welcome to Talk Design.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for having me. It's quite a write-up you've just given me. Thank you.
Now you got to step up into it. No, that's easy for you. So just so we're full of laughs at the moment because or I have, Maryann hasn't had any. I've had so many technical issues this morning making this recording that we're on different computer with different sound, different everything going on right now. Anyway, we will continue on. Maryann, I want your origin story. What happened? There was this little girl, and at some point, she went from, well, she discovered interior design. Maybe that's it, or discovered design would be a better way of putting it. Like she discovered this thing. Tell me about that journey of being a little kid, how you grew up, and when design became such an important part of your life.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so I've had quite a journey. So I've sort of, yeah, but where it all started a lot when I was a kid. So I would spend like the 4 hour drive to our new home, imagining what it would be like, because obviously it was pre-internet. I didn't even see a photo of it, and I would draw what my dream home would look like with a floor plan and where the windows would be. And I started to get a sense of what it was. But actually, growing up, we were really poor, so it was always a huge disappointment. We would arrive at this home in some country in New South Wales and be like, ah, is this it? So I think for me, what it wasn't necessarily design. It was like, what is home? Even though no matter how small the home was or humble or whatever it looked like, it was always the worst one on the street. I would just love my bedroom and I would just dive right in and go, okay, I've got what makes it home for me. It's going to be, my how I'm going to set this room out. And I think home has always been a bit of a guide in for 18 times almost. I was always sort of like searching for what that is. So I don't necessarily think there's a one dream home for one person because I've had lots of them. So in different sort of states. But I think home was always that first thing for me.
It's pretty interesting that part of it because like you had the ability or you took the opportunity as a kid to make all of them your dream, whatever it was, finding a way to pull that together. And whether it
Yeah.
was, the worst house in the street or whether it was way below your expectation, you just went, this is what I've got. Let's make the best of what I've got. But isn't that just so like empowering? Because you could have just done the opposite and taken a non-abundant mindset and just gone, well, this isn't what I want. I'm just going to be
Mm.
grumpy about it, or I'm just going to, be disappointed constantly. And there's kind of that thing in life of people who look for what is disappointing or going to let them down, and the people who look for what's going to stand on their own 2 feet, take responsibility, and look forward and go, okay, I can have that, I can do that, I can make this. Um, yeah, wow.
Yes.
Um, why did you travel around? Why did you keep moving home?
Yeah.
Was there a reason why you were always moving home?
Oh, I wish I knew. I think we just kind of, my dad didn't really work for most of my childhood. So he would just kind of go, oh, there might be an opportunity here. And then we would pack up and go to Goulburn, or they would move back to Sydney, or move here or there, a bunch of different relationships. So I think we just kind of were like the luggage that got dragged around. And so when I was 18, I was like, right, I'm out.
This is it.
So I moved out of home and I moved into the big smoke of Sydney. And I just was like, okay. So I didn't do things like, I guess, the traditional way, but I finished school, moved out of home, got a full-time job, and I studied at night. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. I've always loved art, but and back in that day, I didn't think you could make a
Pre-internet.
profession out of it like that. That yeah, and and that wasn't the kind of life I was exposed to. I didn't wasn't exposed to that kind of life. So I just got a job in a shop, in a clothing store, and studied at night. And I studied advertising, and then I worked into fashion business, and I worked at a fashion college, and I really sort of met some really cool people and had quite a senior job for someone that was 21. I probably wasn't super responsible back then.
Enough that you got the old you.
And then I worked at a rock music bar.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. And a rock music bar in Sydney called the Annandale Hotel, which is quite iconic back in the day. And I met my husband, my now husband, when I was 25, and he was like, right, you got to stop working at a bar. This is all just, it was fun for a minute, but you're never home and all of that. So I studied human resources and
Yeah,
got a job working in hotels. Again, I was managing two hotels um, from a HR perspective for a number of years. And I went and worked for a bunch of other corporate places. And then I was like, this just does not, I'm just the bad guy. I am not that person in my heart. So I quit. And well, actually, no, I got a part-time job so I could study design. And then at that time, I was married. He really encouraged me to do that because he's a builder, as you said. And I was like, okay. And we had done a few like projects together and flipped them, and we're like, yeah, this is kind of good. So I studied it, um, and, and then basically I started my business, and that was, a while ago now, and it's just been nonstop since. Obviously, those first few years it was a bit of a fog,
yeah.
but yeah, here I am now, so it's good.
That's what a story. That's really amazing. And that thing of the diversity in your background as well, like those things like doing those HR roles
Yeah,
and all those other things. But in all those, you were building massive people empathy skills or people management skills and empathy skills, which unless you're going to do, even if you are going to just do commercial interior design, those are the skills that you're going to need for
mm,
all of it. It's all about go back to your first piece with home, and wherever it was, you would make it a home um, for you. You go, okay, well, what are my needs? How do I make it a home? And
yes,
then being able to take that into all the interaction, personal skills, and then into the, further than that. The bar sounds like the most fun though, I got to say. Like,
yeah, it was. Oh man, it was awesome. We had like Daniel Warhols. I met Metallica at the after party of Big Day Out. Like we were there prime time. You just imagine the fun that went down, and we're
Yeah.
dancing on bars. It was just Kings of Leon. It was just phenomenal time. Like I was there for 3 years and just it was a riot.
No
So
one, no wonder your husband was like, "No, I got to get you out of here."
yeah, totally. It's like, can you get a real job, please?
Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly, exactly. He'd be trying to hang on by his, by the skin of his teeth. Um,
Yeah,
how could home be more exciting than this? You
totally.
show me. Yeah. Um,
Exactly.
I think that, as hospitality is an amazing way that people build
Mm,
their human connection skills, their quick rapport, being able to build rapport with people quickly and all those things. And then you can look at that and you go, well, nowadays with what you do, working with clients, is those are transferable skills that are like, and
mm,
you're still helping guide them in selections or making the experience out of something
totally.
with them. Yeah, makes a big difference.
Yeah, like I think it's totally right. And I changed schools so many times. So I was super adaptable. Like I can kind of find common ground with basically anyone, you know.
Hmm.
And obviously the work I do now is at a super high end level, but the clients are all relatable. They have their own story, and I love like for me, I love sort of delving into that and getting to know really who they are. It's not just about finding a really cool chair and putting it in there or making their kitchen amazing. It's about really for me, why is it beautiful for them, and why is it going to be what is their ritual when they're living in their own home with their own families or partner, and how am I going to translate that into a space that's theirs? That's why all our projects are different, because I don't have a particular style for that I put onto other clients. I definitely push them a little bit
Yeah, of course.
to be brave and find that inner part of themselves. And but that's what I do. But it's really about their home. It's about me or my ego. It's just about me sort of coming in and getting to know them really well. And we're with them from DA to completion. It's an important relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately, everything within that home that you do with them, guiding them through those journeys, they get to live with. You go home to your own home, but they get to live with those,
Yeah.
with that outcome, and with that, you're leaving them a story of themselves behind. I think, there's definitely two streams of designers, and there is for architects and, building designers as well. There's the ones who
Hmm.
do it for people, and there's the ones who do it with people, and the
Mm,
the the with people journey is one of all human connection and layering of emotions.
mm,
Where the for people journey is they're buying a piece of something from you, and they're going to live in that piece of something
mm.
from you. Um, and I see this
It's
diversion
a
that
really great way to
happens.
put it. That's a great breakdown.
It, do you know how it makes so much sense? Say, like if somebody employs you to, I had a job a little while ago where they said, we're going overseas for 8 months. Um, when we come back, we'd just love to see what you've done. And they gave me an apartment and we did essentially, well, it wasn't quite all interior design because we structurally changed the building and the journey as well. Um, which is always a bit exciting when you do that with an apartment block. There's a lot of things to jump through, but
Yeah.
it made good sense. But then with that job, I'd say to them, "Oh, well, I'm thinking," and they just said, "We don't want to know." And I'm like, what? And they're like, we don't want to know. We want the surprise. We want to open the door and be wowed. The only thing they asked me to use,
Wow.
I know it was somewhat, it took me a couple of big steps to step into that, like I'm like, that there was a lot of surety that was missing, and looking for the client to say, oh yes,
Mm.
that's good, that we like that, oh yeah, we love that, this kind of thing. And we're talking right down to all their furnishings, other than they had artworks, and so they had a big collect well, they did have a big collection of artwork that came from their home in Sydney. And we went through all those artworks, and we only went through them as photographs, us. I met them for 2 weeks before they left, and we went through all these artworks, and I was like, well, what's your favorites? Which ones do you really want to use? We don't have as much wall space as you would have had, so some are going to stay in storage, some are going to come out. And they picked out a few, and they said, there you go, that was it. They literally I'd send an invoice and they'd pay it. It would be paid within like 24 hours. The invoice would be paid, and it would just have a
That's a dream
breakdown of things.
client.
Well, it isn't. It isn't. I got to know them, but it took a
Yeah.
lot to get to know them because of
Yeah.
and, you know, like you're kind of going, oh, we're just doing this thing, and you're making it beautiful. That's
Yeah.
good.
It's great that you had both people. Yeah. It's good that you had both people on board. I remember once I did in one of my like very first jobs, I had the wife lived in the US and she was coming back to Australia, and he was sort of setting up home for them. And he was like, okay, we're going to renovate this whole apartment. I was like, great. And I was like, okay, well, let's like, can I meet with her? He's like, no, no, I want to be a surprise. And I was like, oh my God. And listen, like listen, I think it was really hard. I think I don't know what I would feel like coming into that situation. But she was like, holy crap, like I want to change things up a bit. Obviously, didn't love some things that he was obviously a bit masculine for him, but he was like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, oh gosh. So I would be, yeah, that's a really brave of you thing to do. But I guess it depends on the client, and I guess good thing you met both, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah. I was just running your scenario in my head and going, oh my God, like, yeah. I know I want it to be a surprise. Yeah, what kind of surprise? And not that you can't do it. It's just that you're not
Of course it
matching somebody's
is.
personality. I know, how you were saying you went to fashion school, or worked at a fashion school. I was a clothes designer, and with that, I often, if I'm really stuck on getting into what somebody's psyche, or for women, I'll say, can you show me, your favorite items in your wardrobe? And they'll be like, why? And I'll go, I want to see what your favorite things are, just for color and texture and all the rest. And they'll show me those favorite things. And then I get to say, so when would you wear that? And when would you wear that? Where would that be? And be situational about it, as a way of, because I understand clothing, of a way of getting in to, oh, this and this. And
Mm.
yeah, my sort of thing is all design is a discovery, because we're creating one-off environments, one-off pieces, one-off homes. We're not creating something that everybody's going to get. We're
Mm.
creating it for this particular person. And with that, we're responding to so many different things. But you're creating one custom piece. And so they don't know, and you don't know. You've got to go on the journey, but you've got to guide them to be brave. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they used the term, the client was risk tolerant.
I'm going to use that.
That's what I did. I said, "Oh, I've written that on my pad, you know." And I said, "Were they risk tolerant? Like, if we went on a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of risk tolerant?" And they said, "Oh, they were a good 8." And I'm like, "Right, okay." Um,
That's great.
it's a good little
Yeah.
metric,
And I
isn't
think
it?
every client, yeah, it's really good. Like I think because some clients I find they're like, oh, they're all in for color, right? They're like,
Mhm.
let's just go nuts. Other clients are like, they don't want necessarily lots of color, but they're really into texture, or yeah, and they want to, like, they're really into lighting, so then that becomes a faux call, or marble. So it's really interesting working out what their point is to express themselves. And I loved how you used, the wardrobe analogy. I think that's really good. And working out how they live and how they express themselves in through their clothing or through their music, or what sort of events they have at their house. Are they like, let's have a martini kind of event, or let's, like, pop the bolly and, have like 20 friends over. So just working out, I guess, their dynamic and
Yeah.
what makes it fun for them. And yeah, it's a fun process getting to know them, right?
It is, eh? And you don't have to end up being their best friend or anything. It's just a fun process to be able to peel it
Mm.
back. When you're meeting with a client, how do you start? How do you start that process? Obviously you get a phone call or you get an email or somebody makes some introduction in some way. But what happens next? What's the next step you do? Because you
Mm.
may not want the client. It may not be a match. People, we,
Yeah.
I think a
Mm.
lot of design people and a lot of clients just presume because they've made the choice that you're making the choice, or the other way around. So how do you start your process that vets the client for you?
Mm.
Because you know who you are. What boxes do they tick?
Good question. Yeah, because I always think the projects you say no to are probably more important than the ones you say yes to. We've just taken on a really difficult client, and it's just been a terrible process, and really particular about who I work for. And I always like to think nice hangs out with nice, you know, not so nice people hang out with not so nice. So I'm all about the recommendations. That's my ideal scenario, or some kind of introduction, like you said. So for me, it's always just like, let me come over, and I go to their house and sit down, have a chat about what they want. I get a vibe from them. I, you know, it's really interesting. I know, interior designers, like, do you charge an initial consult fee? You know, I don't. Like, I'm going to be really honest.
Hmm.
I have in the past, but there's an obligation that I have to do the job, and I want to make sure that we're the same kind of people, or we'll be able to work together. So I think for me that initial chat is really important, because I'm just going to get their vibe, they'll get mine, and it's either going to be yes, let's go ahead, I'll put together a proposal, or it's actually, yeah, listen, I just don't know if we're the right fit. And I think that's really important, whether that's a timeline question, because maybe they want it straight away, or they want to start and we just don't have the capacity. So then it's like, yeah, no, it's not. And sometimes yeah, sometimes it's just not the right, like, yeah, it could be aesthetic or personality as well.
Yeah.
Ideal client for me are two working professionals. I find people that are, that they have a real love for design, but don't have the time. So they really appreciate standing over my shoulder and saying, I want this, this, this. But, it's really about a really nice, genuine respect for each other's time and advice and
Mm.
recommendations. Like, I think that's really important to me. It is so much about trust, and then see where that
I think
goes.
I think it's a really interesting one with, not charging. And I don't say that everybody should charge. It's not my thing. I don't think that it depends how you structure what you do as to whether you should charge to do that
Mm.
first meeting. And it's all about actually the questions you've probably asked them before that, when you're on the phone to them
Mm.
and chatting to them, as to what they're going to be like, and whether you're even going to go and have that meeting, whether you already know it's not a fit. One of the things that I
Mm,
find really interesting, so coming from the building design, architectural space, is uh, budget is this huge elephant always in the room. And I will always
mhm.
ask people, obviously, what's their budget or what's their expectation of what it will cost. Um, Not so much what it will cost for me, but what will the whole job cost? And then I imagine, I don't, we always start with there's a build budget and then we go and there's a project budget. So the project build budget's a part of a project budget. So we need to, if we're going to design a new home, we've got, okay, well, what's our landscape going to require if we do the home in this way? And then what's our, and so that's going to be an additional piece of budget. And what's our interior going to require, and what are they looking for from that? And then we've got to make the house work. And then there's all the consultants. There's the engineer, the all these other people that we're going to consult with. There's councils. There's all these pieces that we're going to bump into along on the journey. So they all form like a project budget. And then we also know that the job might take, in our case, say 2 years to fruition, or maybe even three. In your case,
Mm.
I'm not sure whether the timeline's as long. It certainly is if you're doing the whole project, as a couple. Um,
Yeah,
it could be longer.
definitely. So we tend to do the big renovation. So it's yeah, I definitely like budget's really important. Yes, and your note earlier about asking, I probably have made that decision to not charge based on certain things as well. Definitely. Like if I feel like it's going to be a good fit, I'm not going to go, oh, it'd be $900. But if it's someone that I haven't met before, if it's out of the blue, then I'll be like, oh, okay, I don't know, this could be wasting my time, which take me away from other projects. Let's just send them an invoice. If they pay, great, I'll go to the meeting. If not, it doesn't really matter. So,
Yeah,
so I sort of want to make sure they get paid. But generally, you're right. Like I know that they come into me, but they're not shopping around. If they're shopping around, it's not my client anyway. But no, exactly. So in that meeting with them, definitely, I'm talking about, do you have an idea of budget? And like you said, like they don't want to answer or they're not sure, and often they don't. They just don't know.
just don't
And
know.
that's most times their first time doing this kind of work. So, I can rattle off some numbers. I'm fairly good at that now. Um, but, things change a lot. Like from COVID, prices have gone up 40%. So, it's a lot. And it's so now I'm finding that, when we're doing renovations, the kind of work that we do, we would have a few of the cream where it's like, you know, we're looking at $4 million builds. It's beautiful. It's up on that end. And then you'd have a few in the middle, which is just like, a nice,
Yeah.
modest, beautiful renovation, extension, gorgeous. But I found that sort of level has dropped. I feel like it's only at the moment with the current market and things like that. So yeah, but yeah, in some ways that means you can be more thorough on those projects as well. But it's a different dynamic.
It is, and yeah, definitely a different dynamic. Do you have any particular way that you approach getting them on the same page as you? Like somebody who goes, "Oh, well, we've got," and just in interior design, so um, they come along or they come to you and they go, we want to do, our kitchen and we want to do our, say, our bathrooms. And so they've got all the expensive items in their house. And then that's just the interior
Mm,
design part. It's not necessarily the decor part. And getting people to separate interior design and decor in their mind as
mm,
well. How do you do that to spend their money, and where is it better off to save?
mm. Yeah, like it's really interesting. So there are times with certain projects where you start to freak out. You go, oh gosh, I know this is how much they want to spend, but my God, we are we're going to town here, and it's like we need to pull things back, but it's very sometimes it's client driven. Go, no, no, I want this, I want
Mm,
this, I want this,
mm,
and it is definitely like an education process. So one thing that we're sort of doing quite a bit now is we're always involved in price at the very beginning to
of course.
start to
Yeah.
have those some conversations, of course. But then it unfolds. It always goes up and never comes down, as we know. But we have actually started getting the QS involved pretty early, quantity surveyor. So and it's been a really interesting process because he's able to sort of come in and go, okay, this is what we're looking at. This is what your base build cost is, right? So just to get it to the bones and to the mortar and all of that, where you need it to get to just for the structure of the house, this is how much it will cost. And then we're going to add all these finishes, and then you're going to have these little shopping list of items that you're going to want to add to that, right? This is all
Mhm.
that beautiful XYZ, that beautiful marble, that triple bull nose, whatever, marble
Finish.
island. So
Yeah.
it's all those things but then what happens is in that process has been really wonderful because it takes often, like, I think clients feel like they lose control, right? And they just go, oh my God, they've knocked down my house. There's no turning back. Holy crap, what do I do? Right. So they freak out. And I
Uh-huh.
totally understand that. So, but what this does is it sort of takes a bit of that guesswork out, right? So
Yeah.
they're able to go, okay, they're able to control where they spend their money, and they'll go, listen, I want all the bells and whistles, but actually now I can see what that is. All right, I'm going to say yes to these things. I'm going to say no to these things. And they're able to sort of pull back. And a lot of those things, as you know, it comes down to engineering. Okay, maybe we do need to have a post there now because the structural
Yeah.
impact to make it completely seamless is, it's going to flow onto $100,000, all these things. So it's all that kind of stuff. So it's sort of giving the price back, giving it back to them, and then it makes it kind of not easy, but it makes it like a simpler process to hire a builder, because then
Yes.
you're hiring, you're just hiring the right fit for you, but they understand what the price is. The job has been priced,
Mm,
and
mm.
then the builder can obviously plead their case and say, no, this is for this. And then they have that separate discussion. But generally, you're working with a really firmish price. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of movement once you do demo, but then you've got this as well. So it's been an interesting approach that we've been taking recently.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds it, and I like it. Like, I think that unless you actually create that team, and unless you can get those conversations going, and
Mm,
I come from the point of view that whether you're the um, real estate agent, the architect, or the building designer, or the builder, or the interior designer.
mhm.
You said before about it's not your ego. You're not going, this is my style and you're buying my style. I'm working with you to find your style and do it. So
I
whichever
might
one
go
of
that way one day, though.
I it has its temptations, trust me. Yeah.
Do you know what? It would make life so much, wouldn't it
Less,
make it easy? Sometimes I say to my team, like, gosh, why can't we just do things straightforward? Like,
yeah, yeah.
just have a set, you sort of, not that it's straightforward. I don't want to take away from designers that have a particular aesthetic. Like, obviously, that takes a lot of skill to craft that.
Yep.
But you just go, gosh, wouldn't that just be so much simpler in a way? Because, God, like, we're constantly trying to push it. What else can we do now? What's new? And oh, gosh,
Well,
it makes our life so much harder.
go to that piece of going, okay, well, this is my signature. And your signature evolves. So I always think of it like a car. Um, if we looked at, let's just use a Mercedes Benz as an example. If we looked at a Mercedes Benz from 30 years ago or 50 years ago, and we just tracked, I don't know, take a kind of model, whether it be a C class or whatever. But if we just tracked how that car has evolved over
Mm,
that time, um, and what features have stayed true as brand style features. Now, Mercedes has always gone, oh, well, we'll do quality and innovation. Those are their, not that they don't style, but they do quality and innovation. They go, we will lead in
Hmm.
quality and we'll lead in innovation. Um, and so, but with that, they go, oh, this is kind of a gradual shift of a brand aesthetic over time with some, wild and exciting pieces dropped in with, I suppose, new market trends or whatever. And if you think of a designer that goes, this is the style that I do, or this is my aesthetic, then you do that. It's like, Maryann turns up and there's multiple personalities locked away inside you. Um, maybe unlocked inside you as well,
Watch
unlocked at
out.
different times. Yeah, exactly. But the person that you bring is this, person who, you said it before, you learnt to find something with everybody, a way to fit into, not necessarily to fit in, but to engage and to build rapport. And there's
Mm,
not many people that you couldn't do it with. And that makes,
mm,
when you go back to another point that you said, it's projects you say no to are more important than the projects you say yes to. In that respect, you could easily just be so lovely to everybody that that you would they will respond to you beautifully because you're responding to them beautifully. You're giving them the
mm.
opportunity, and then you could be like, actually, that isn't truly who they were. On that note, a funny thing with the crew, so we all shoot with the same crew for TV, and we
Yes,
just
we
shoot at
love
different
them.
times. Yeah, we love them. We do love them. They're great people. I have this little thing where we'll be shooting somewhere and I'm always checking, oh, so what else? What are the other guys shooting? Because I don't see it. Like you don't see what I shoot. And
You get, yes, I won't say.
I get though this really cool thing where if I go, so what's Maryann shooting? And they don't care what you're shooting, they just love being around you. The
Oh,
crew just go, oh, she's so cool. She's so lovely to work with. She's so nice. She's so, like she's fun. She's like, she brings all this energy to it. And I get that. And it's so interesting how that affects obviously the people that you're interviewing or the houses that you're looking through and putting those people at ease. But it has the crew right behind you, like really
oh,
loving you as well. So they want the absolute best from you or for you out of what they're doing because they identify with you. And then when we take that to clients, they're you're putting them into that same zone and you're going,
mm,
okay, well, come on with me. Like, here's how we go. Um, so I look at all those kind of pieces of how you bring design to people and then getting them to, part of the TV show again is how do you take somebody who is absolutely scared shitless? There's a
mm,
camera in the room. How do you get them to even get their words out in some sense of comfort? How do you get them to do that? And it's no different from allowing a client to get or you getting into a client space and shifting their energy and letting them feel comfortable and getting a bit more relaxed and then revealing a bit more of who they are and what they need and what they want and what makes the difference for them. I find that whole piece fascinating. And when you've got to switch them from dream to facts and figures, or when you've got to switch them from hierarchy of this is more important than this, and
mm,
um you get them to look at a big picture, not just each individual piece of a jigsaw puzzle. Now I
mm,
think you've got an amazing skill with that. I think that's one of the things that, forget the fact that you can design and do all that, it's your human ability that you've developed to actually get people to feel comfortable and relax and give back to you, to give, to let you in. Um, yeah. Anyway, all
Right.
kudos to you.
Thanks, Adrian. That's so sweet. Same goes to you. Don't you worry. Yeah, the guys love you as well. They're like, Adrian's such a crack up. We love it. It's always so much fun. So I love it. Yeah, no, thank you. I do appreciate that. Yeah, not always easy to flick between them all, but I think clients do appreciate it when we go,
Yes.
okay, we're gonna have a hard chat today.
Yeah.
Something's happened on site, and we need to, it's gonna be a variation, and it's always putting myself in their shoes because it's costing them money and time and all those kinds of things happen. So yeah, I want to bring them on the journey and make it fun, some where we can, right? They have to enjoy it. You're going to do it hopefully once in your life. So,
And you can spend a lot of money doing it. So that's the other point that
oh yeah.
I'm like, so
Yeah.
when we go back to that piece of, we've got all these different people in a line that are going to make the project happen. I'm always really mindful of the fact that they came with a dream. And that might have started with a real estate agent, whether they bought land or whether they bought a house. That dream
Hmm.
was in their head before then. I always think of my daughters, and they've been getting married since they were like 3 years old. They don't know who, but they've been it's part of the dream, of this, and that may change over life, but there's this event dream that happens, and people, when they get the chance to really, maybe do a last home or a dream home or a legacy play in a
Mm,
property or something like that, um, we are just, uh, I suppose, privileged enough to be part of
mm,
that journey. And I always say to my clients, look, from the design point of view, my job is, from the building design point of view, is to put down a foundation stone that we discover you with, discover what your land needs, etc. And then we do that, and we bring the builder in early, long before we don't tender, but we bring the builder in early,
yes.
and then we're building that as a team, creating it, because ultimately, at some point, this journey has to support the end dream. And if this journey's a nightmare, the end dream's tainted. So how do we kind of sweep them up and cuddle them along and go through the hard parts together? And we're all crying on the same day, and we're all laughing on the same day. Like, it's that thing. How do we journey with them, and make them feel safe that we're going to where they want to go to, and that it's their dream we've created, not our dream. Um, and I think that's one of the most incredible and joyful parts of the job. It's quite humbling to have the honor to take people on it. And then on the other side of it, you
Mm,
certainly don't want to take somebody on it that you can't connect with, because otherwise you want to throw them overboard
yeah.
halfway through, or you don't
Yeah.
you don't want that, and getting that multifaceted piece of their thing. But ultimately, we are delivering a dream for somebody else. That's our job, is to get there. But if you go down the signature route, they're going, oh, well, I want a BMW, or I want a, Range Rover, or I want a whatever it is. That's what they're doing. They're shopping for what they want, and they maybe can customize it by changing the wheels and putting a stripe on it, or I don't know, coloring the upholstery. That's their full length of customization. And in that sense, that would be the other scheme of designing. And then you've got lots of control, and you just keep evolving.
Mm,
You know, over the seasons, you keep evolving as new products come alive and all those things. So I've got two roads for that. There's the signature style, and then there's the let's develop it as we go style. And I think the signature
mm,
style would be easier. I do think it would be
yeah.
easier. It'd be easier to market. It would be
Yeah.
easier to deliver. Um, and people who didn't want one of those don't come and stay away.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You don't have to, there's less justification and how it works, and because
Yeah.
you've done it so many times, right? So yeah, like I think I think both would have its pros and cons. People that try to sort of influence it as well, they come to you anyway, but actually they want it a different way as well. So yeah, it's a tricky one to navigate. Yeah. But I remember I was at a speaker event listening to another designer, and he was just like, God, he goes, I just he goes, I just wish that, there was a way that we could just do, we could just drill out the same sort of, general design to everybody, because yeah, it would be so much less stressful and hard and all those things, easier to price and all of that.
Mm.
Because often, yeah, everything we do is different. So, we've got a general idea of costs, definitely, but then there's, the implication of a new sort of technique or something that we're trying to do. But it makes it fun though. Like we do get to prototype and do lots of cool stuff. We did lots of custom lighting at a few of our projects as well. So it is super fun, but it is a journey that someone's got to go on with us as well.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of some of your projects, why don't you share some? Have you got some photos you
Yeah,
can share? Let's share
I
some of
do.
those. Let's do that because you do beautiful work. You've
Can I
won
say,
lots of
should I send a
awards with it.
request?
Oh, sorry. I thought
I've
I'd
got you. I've
already
just
done
sent a
it, but
request.
yeah, multiple. Yeah, cool. Sorry, that was me. That's my computer issues
That's
this morning.
okay. Yeah, so which one would you like to see? Would you like to see my Citadel project, maybe?
Absolutely. Let's go with the Citadel project. And
Okay,
this is a
let me
really
just
cool
get.
project. I've seen pictures before, so I've had that pleasure. Um, and yeah,
Um,
tell the story of how the project came about as well.
yeah, so these were so actually back from my Annandale days. My friends were living in a share house, and one of the ladies that was sharing the house with these friends, she and she basically she would actually come out at 4 in the morning and say, "Can you please just stop?" Anyway, 20 years later, she got in contact with me. We had followed each other from numerous, through Facebook
Connections.
and
Yeah.
Instagram. Yeah. And she still hired me. And so it was wild. So this was the project. So this is called the Citadel. It's an old Salvation Army hall in Crow's Nest. You know, it's
So let me
it
give
was
some
amazing.
context just quickly,
Please.
because about 60% of the audience is American, so they'll be looking
Yes.
at it. So Crow's Nest is a suburb of Sydney, in Australia, and the Salvation Army. I imagine you have them in America. I can't say that I've ever seen them there. I don't know, but they
Mm.
are a religious-based organization that very much deep in the community, and they would have halls for meetings and obviously like church, religious based. But beyond that, they were, or they still are. And now we call them in Australia, like everything else, we put an O on the end of it. So we say salvos, like Australia is the land of O's. Um,
Yeah. And
but this,
A's. O's
yeah,
and A's.
O's and A's, yeah. If you can shorten it, put an O on it or an A on it, you've done it. Um, so with that, this building would have had a monument type structure put to it. When I say monument, it's very much of the church style, and that's what makes it. So it's a stunning looking building, but then again, also very symmetrical in how it's
Oh,
laid out. Yeah.
oh, like it's like God. Like I remember parking my car and I walked up to this building and I was like, I will do anything for this job. Like, oh my God.
Whatever it
I
takes.
and it didn't look like this. It was covered in mold and it had the initial bushes here were up covering half the windows. But my client had gone through like a few architects to try to get this through council because it is a heritage item, this project. So,
Hmm.
council was saying no to everything. And then she contacted me and was like, hey, can you do this? And it was a commercial residence. So Virgin Records used to be here, a
Oh,
few other like over the years and years, and then it was like derelict kind of thing. And they have a creative business called Citadel Creative, and they wanted to create a home, but as well as a workspace. So we had to go through council and separate the usage. So it was for residential and commercial, which took, I think we did 4 DAs because we had to separate it all.
Yep.
But we created this home, and my clients are super fun. Like you can just see all this beautiful brass trad. We did lots of terrazzo, cool artwork. Like, again, like your client, we were like,
Mm.
let's just make this happen. Like it was so fun. And I guess the building itself was split between two areas. So the front part, which was the Citadel, and then this 70s extension, which joined it, which had this roof extension part, which joined it to an old stables, which was bought.
Yeah,
It was
wow.
also heritage listed, and was a built in like 1920, and this was built in 1910. And so we converted it to a co-op creative space with a podcast studio.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Bring it on.
and then, and you see we've got this beautiful A-frame, trusses. Like when we weren't able to touch those, because obviously they
Yeah.
are heritage, but we really leaned into that in terms of the aesthetic. So, the black or bold, we did the terrazzo, everything was very symmetrical, but it was amazing. So we leaned into that industrial
Hmm.
side of the place, which was super fun. This is residential, so
Yep.
that was their ensuite. So again, quite masculine and feminine, but you'll see
Yeah.
in this picture, and we'll see it later on, that we've actually, above all the residential part, we actually stopped the doors at a certain height and just did glass blades so that we could see these trusses. And I'll show you more. So every
Ah, lovely.
room had its own window. This is the kitchen, the hero shot.
Yep.
Um, it was amazing.
Yeah.
That 5 meter concrete bench, we had to crane over the building. It was very stressful, but amazing. We aged all the brass in-house, like with my husband and my father-in-law, who's really into aging metals. We designed these lights and had them installed, but really, and we kept all the original brickwork. And where we could, we wanted to show off this brickwork. And even with the kitchen, we kept the render on the side here because
Yeah.
it was cool. And we exposed all this. And
Hmm.
then in the laundry, we did the same. So again, really leaning into these heritage bones. Um, you
Oh,
can
wow.
kind of get a bit of a glimpse of what's beyond. We did all these doors. It was pretty epic. And then this is that ensuite again. We've put these skylights in strategically to make sure, we had light everywhere. You can see the glass blade above.
Yeah.
And then, lounge rooms also pretty cool.
So
And
with it,
yeah.
did you end up doing all the decor as well with them, or how did that go?
Yes.
You did, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
so this piece was D Prudence. So that was actually a stag that they had acquired a few years before.
Yep.
Apparently lived a very good life. And so yes, but we did all the furniture, all the joinery, and all of this as well.
Yeah.
But they had a few key pieces, iconic pieces that they wanted to keep too. So we integrated, some vintage pieces like
Mm,
this one here,
mm.
had them all restored and brought them back to life. So it was really fun. Underneath the kitchen is this cyc wall because they're in the
Yeah.
film sort of industry as well and photography. So I had to design a cyc wall and a studio
Hmm.
space, which I've never done in my entire life, but I was like, why not?
Yeah, what
Um,
what what could be so hard about that?
yeah. And these are all in terrible order. I'm sorry, but here you
It's
get a really
okay.
good visualized idea of how we had to work around these trusses and really
Yeah.
integrate the old with the new, and so fun. Like
You know,
it's such a hard project from
it's
such a some
yeah, from such a space, like there's so many detail points that make it either work or not work, and keeping it to
yeah.
come alive and getting, all that light transfer over and keeping all that ceiling visible and stuff. I
Mm,
um I'm doing a project currently, it's a new build, but where we're doing a similar thing where we've got glass blades going to the ceiling because we've got an
amazing.
amazing ceiling detail that we're putting in, and we don't want to block it. And then also, like you just said with that cyc wall, I just designed a studio for clients where it actually is just a studio, but it has all these different mood sets as well as a psych wall, and as well
Mm,
as a podcast room, as well as a YouTube stage and space as well. All in
crazy.
a yeah. If you'd said to somebody, 20 years or 30 years ago, we want a space like this. Maybe 20 years ago, maybe, but like 30 years ago, I think people would have said, for what? We're not
Yeah.
photographers. Those were the only people who had anything like it was a photographer. And then now you look at the amount of content that's being created, and they've done that below
Mm.
the house, below upstairs is where they live, is it? And downstairs is where they work.
So yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like two. So there's a little bit of the front part of the Salvation Army Hall is, and upstairs is still office,
Yeah.
but then you sort of access the upstairs bit through the side of the building. But yeah, so the bottom of the stables is a psych wall. Then you have the podcast studios and everything, and then you walk into the meeting conference areas that they would hire out, and then
Uh-huh.
upstairs for the sections too. So yeah, it was kind of wild. But I guess there's all these micro industries now, and people want a space that they can hire out, like just like creative co-op. Oh, today we're doing a podcast. Tomorrow we might do a quick photo shoot. So it's really, I think people really do need a lot of flexibility, especially content creators and
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
micro industries that just need something, a place for an hour or half an hour.
I think so. And look, I think it's, a lot of people go, oh, we should build, let's just say, for example, on our home, we should build, a, in America, they call them an ADU, being an additional dwelling unit. And we could get better use of our
Oh,
land
okay.
by doing that. Or we'd call them a granny flat
Mm,
here. We should do that and we could be renting that out, and making our land, create income for us and all the rest. But not too many people going yet going, you know what, if in my neighborhood I was to build one of those and build these spaces, how many people would come and use it, if it
mm,
was, just for a content creation or whatever. And especially when you get an iconic building like that where you can go, oh, we could do this. I remember in New Zealand when I lived there, the first person I ever met that lived in a converted church, and it was like the
oh, so
Citadel. It
cool.
was little, and she was she was this lady who had this enormous amount of energy, like physical, charismatic energy. And I remember I was in the fashion industry at the time, and for some reason we were dealing with her. She was a creative, and we were dealing with her on something. And she said, "Oh, you'll have to come to my house." And she told me where it was. I went, "Yeah, no problem. I'll come there. It's on my way home." And I'm driving in the street, and I'm going, the number of her house is a church. What the hell's going on? Like, I'm going, no, it still looked like the church. And I'm like, I can't have it right. There was no mobile phone to ring her on. So I just go and knock on the door, and yeah, she opens the door and she goes, yeah, her and her husband had bought this church when they, I don't know, whatever the religion was, had sold it up and then converted it to a home. And it was her studio where she worked from as well. Yeah, sort of similar thing.
Mm,
That project in particular, the Citadel project, has such street presence. It's
mm.
just, it's just stunning. You must have more.
Oh,
Show me another project that you've got.
okay.
And
Oh
and
yeah, listen,
one of the
the
other things,
Citadel was a huge highlight.
yeah, absolutely. Like, and to get to work across all those things, from, like you said, the podcast room to the, cycloram wall, all those pieces of it,
Mm.
doing all those things, as well as is kind of fun. Did I just lose you? I may have lost you, Marianne. I'm going to pause just in case. We're back.
Back. Sorry about that,
No, no,
guys.
it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, let's
Yes.
share something else. And I do want to ask you also about, working with on the TV show on Dream Homes Revealed about
Yes, of course.
how that works with your business now as well, and how,
Yeah.
you see things. So what's this project? It looks beautiful.
It was it was beautiful. So again, another heritage listed home. I'll show you the front of it just
Mm,
quickly. It's Queen Anne style,
yep,
heritage listed. So again, we reconfigured a bit of the inside, but really wanted to stay true. Couldn't change too much of the outside. But this was the client that was like, let's have some fun. She was really clear about she wanted color, but also didn't want to lean too hard into the traditional aspects, like didn't want, mold-ins or anything like that around her cabinetry. Everything was to be really seamless, very high tech. As well. So we've integrated a lot of automation within the home as well. But, again, we put these beautiful herringbone floorboards in, all hardwood, gorgeous marble
yeah,
everywhere. So this in this space we use the black marble here, and we these gorgeous Tom Dixon lights, which were
yeah.
phenomenal. But custom designed it all, really like so
It's
beautiful.
beautiful.
The
I love taking something like this where it's this heritage one, and I love the way you've taken it and put something modern into the space, so very contemporary into the space, but it
Yeah,
still holds it together. It,
yeah.
there's a level of genius in about being able to blend the two in so that they work, but that that you're now in a modern space. Yeah.
That's right. So it was really like it was seamless in spots, but then there's a softness as well, So the marble in the kitchen was like a double bull nose,
Mm,
and with
right.
a 40 mil center. So, we really kept this sort of softness. And then in the ensuite, which is in the top sort of roof space,
Hmm.
again, creating this softness around that joinery as well. So these drawers open up, and they're just these little soft scalloped,
Yeah.
timber doors, which was so sweet. And then we've got the beautiful Zellige tile. So we've really integrated this blue throughout the space. The client loved the blue sort of look in terms of
Oh,
marbles, and
wow.
you see here
Yeah.
the wallpapers,
Yeah.
and we had so much fun here. And they really here is where we designed the bed as well, and to hold, just not light in, but also little nooks there for iPads and all sorts of things. So we had these little dresses in the side. So we try to create this softness in usually our roof space, which is quite harsh. So
Uh-huh.
we curved it. We did all these like all these little moments. Um,
That curved
again,
roof
this,
is almost tent-like, eh? It's almost like it's got that
yeah.
softness. It's so pretty.
Oh, thank you. And these doors themselves, like this closes and it's like a complete, um, like it's seamless. So,
Yeah.
these doors were on pivots that stay open, and we're able to really, yeah, create a bit of a moment for our clients. And this is another bathroom using this beautiful marble,
Hmm.
which
Mm.
was so fun.
Was
And
that a
then the last one,
Brazilian marble?
no, it actually came from Italy.
Oh, I can't
So,
tell you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's a lapis marble that we sourced. We went through so many quarries, like photo
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go to
Have
Italy to check it,
Have
but
you ever had a
we got.
client that sent you yet to somewhere like Italy to choose something?
Not yet, but I do have a client in Italy that I'm doing their project in Lake Como. So that's a current job at the moment that we're doing. And I did go there for that. So, but not specifically to try out a sofa or select something.
To lay on a sofa. Yeah.
Exactly. Um, but yeah, and then we've got the cute little bar area there as
Hmm.
well. So, it was a really fun project. We were there for, I think I want to say it was about 6 months, so a much
Hmm.
smaller scale than the Citadel. But, we had so much fun. We the whole place is like new, and the clients just love it. They're just
Oh,
so
yeah.
happy. So yeah,
Yeah. And every reason to be. When you see
yeah,
what you've done, it's like stunning. So,
yeah.
so
Thank you.
I like the fact that you're doing the project in Como. Lake Como is one of my big, big favorites of places in the world. I used to go there a lot when I was in the
Yeah,
fashion trade, and yeah, it's just got a really special place in my heart. I imagine a lot of people that have been to Como would be saying, "Yeah, yeah, me too, me too." It's a special part of the
yes.
world, and with that, doing a job at distance, what's that like? Like, I'm doing jobs at distance as well, but I'm like really keen to hear from you what it's like to do jobs at distance,
Mm.
and how you're
Yeah,
managing it.
it's yeah, thank you. Yeah, listen, it's tricky, I'll be honest. It's been a little bumpy. But I feel like, that the initial going there, I think really helped because
Mm,
this is a it's 4 level home right on Como. You can just imagine it's extremely ornate, historical. So I think for me, the first thing was I need to go there, not because I just need to go there, because I need to actually catalog everything that's there. There's
uh,
like over 100 external windows, and then we've got internal doors, internal stained glass doors.
yeah.
So we had to, like, the first part of concept was a huge heritage documentation. Like, what are the pieces that are stayed? How are we going to treat those items? Are they going to be restored? If so, how, by
Mm,
whom? All
mm,
these things. So we really sort of went through a real catalog of what is in this home, how are we going to catalog this home. So that was the real first piece, which took a lot longer than we anticipated, just purely because of the scale.
yes.
This is not just one home, it's basically 4 homes, and it's a lot. So but it's so exciting as well.
Oh, yeah.
But the clients have been really, of course, like, hello, Como, who doesn't
Yeah.
want that? It's amazing. But the clients have been really engaged, which I think has been very helpful, to try to get through, to really get through this process together, because I think they're available. We talk on the phone sometimes twice a week to just nut out ideas. So whereas normally here in Sydney, we would just go, here's the presentation, and we'd have a few iterations.
Of course. Yeah.
It's always an evolution, of course.
Yeah.
But now, because obviously we have a bit of a time constraint as well, we're, having to work things live a little bit as well. So, but, I think technology is amazing. The whole house was scanned. So we've got this amazing 3D model
Uh-huh.
of this home. So we're able to go, okay, we know what we're working with here. And the house was completely photographed. So we do have a photograph catalog as well. So that again helps. But yeah, it's been a real process, and I
That
think we're getting there, but it's exciting.
that initial setup, of scanning the
Mm,
house. I'm doing a job in the UK, and it's again a heritage listed place, like you were saying.
mm,
It's 1830 or something, or somewhere around there. It was built. Um,
mhm,
Grade two, so there's a lot of things that we can and can't do, and we're changing it, considerably architecturally. Well, I say that we're asking to change it considerably architecturally, with some additions and things to it. With all of that, I'd never had a house like digitally scanned like this before. Um, and one of the things, so I draw a lot of stuff by pencil still. So I do a lot of my conceptual stuff by pencil. And where
me
you
too.
would, yeah, right. So where you would normally use like a set square or something, in this particular house, 1830, they didn't build one wall that was straight with another wall. And I'm like,
Oh my God, this is what we're discovering. We're like, wait a second, how, what,
it
the,
doesn't
the
line
wall
up.
goes like this, or it
Yes,
goes like this. We're like, what?
exactly. It starts over here at the top and it finishes here at the bottom, or it runs on an angle this way and the next one runs on an angle like this. I'm like, oh yeah, look, I'll be able to knock out in my mind. I'm planning, I'll be able to knock out that piece of the design and that piece of the design. Every time I'm drawing it, I'm like, oh shit, it takes me like hours extra just because we're working with so many angles and stuff. And like you said, with the scan, the wall at the top, the space between the walls at the top versus at the bottom, they're never go even in our modern homes, they're unlikely to be perfect, but we're talking millimeters. But here we're talking centimeters, or for you Americans,
Mm,
inches of
mm.
difference.
Yes.
And when you go in the place, you don't look at it and ever see that. I often think to myself,
Mm.
what a crock it is when, everybody gets, oh, it's got to be all so perfect. I can tell you, I can tell you that there's so many buildings that you'd fall in love with that are nowhere near perfect. But it's been a real
Hmm.
experience of that thing of, oh, that's 2 degrees different angle from that piece there, and that wall steps back a little bit from there. And I don't think that if you'd sent somebody around to measure it, or if you'd, I wouldn't go myself, I'd send somebody to do that, but that you would have actually got the accuracy, like to measure it. And then that full
No,
documentation is
no.
so important as well, like, documenting all the windows,
Hmm.
documenting all the doors. And so this pre-work piece of this job is huge before you even start. And then I'm a bit the same.
Right.
We have an architect of record, and then we have another architect as well who is just local to the heritage consultants. So
Hmm.
local in that area. So we have an architect in London, then we have another architect in Bristol, and the architects in Bristol have massive history with heritage, and so they are taking through the heritage part, and we're taking through the design part with them from there. And I'm doing that
Mm.
remotely. And of course, as you know, Europe is usually the best time for me is in my evening to get them in their morning. Um,
Yes.
and so you might be 11 o'clock at night or whatever, still nailing out ideas or structures or whatever's going to happen to make it work. So yeah, I find though
Yes.
that
Yeah. And I think
once you get a rhythm, it works.
it does require a little. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because we have our process, we
Yep.
have our process, and but this requires a new process, in
Mhm.
some ways because you have to be flexible, you have to make, move with it. And so it's been really interesting. And we found our builder on that journey as well. Like when we went there, because it was important that we see the work, like take us to your previous jobs and make sure that it was the kind of quality that we're after, not necessarily style. It's not about that because we'll do that, but make sure they're able to sort of do the work. So we found our builder on that trip, and other sort of artisans that are going to help craft, bring this old beautiful girl back to life. So
I
it's going to be great.
I know that piece about having the builder like that. So years ago, this would be back in about 2015 or 16, I think it was. No, that's not right. About around the 2020, um, 2022, something like that. We moved to France, and is that right? Yeah, that's got to be about right. Somewhere around there. We moved to France, and actually it might have been a bit later than that. Anyway, in doing that, we moved to England and France, and I was doing some work over there, and we had a contact that said to us, "Hey, um, we own a place in Nice, and if you'd like to use our place in Nice, we would love the kitchen renovated, and we would love the outside painted." And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, I'll paint the outside of it, because I wasn't busy all day every day. I can paint the house, no problem. And yes, I'll do this upgrade to the kitchen. And anyway, with that, I'm in a little village called Saint Genet, which is way up above Nice, looking out over the Med and, Cap Ferrat on one side and then Tibes on the other
Oh,
and right across it. Idyllic.
beautiful.
A walking town. So you
Oh,
don't
wow.
drive to the house, you walk to the house. First, first point to put in your brain, everything's carried
Mm.
and it's all uphill. And if it's not uphill, it's downhill. So
Oh,
even just the paint came in powder. So we used a Faro and ball and it was a powder. So it was much lighter to get up there and I had to mix it while it was there by adding water to it and, bringing it back to life or bringing it to life. But then I was like, okay, well, I need this cabinetry. And I found a French guy in the village, well, kind of in our village, not quite, but next village over. I found a French guy who had a workshop and he did blacksmithing and he did woodworking, but he didn't speak any English. But I found another guy that worked next door to him who was Dutch, who spoke French and English. And so he became my translator. And I would go down there and I'd be going, so I need this, and I'd want some ironwork or something done. And I would say, luckily it was the French because workplace health and safety doesn't really seem to exist outside of Paris. Um, I would say, can I show you? Can I show you? Can I come in the workshop? And so this guy would translate that for me and I'd go in the workshop and I would work with him to bend something or shape something or whatever to create these pieces. But that language barrier of him understanding and me understanding and us getting to the same thing, if I was trying to do that on Zoom, or if I was trying to do that by the
mm,
internet in any way, I don't think you could do it. And he'd have probably got frustrated and gone, oh, to hell with that. And I would have probably gone, oh, this is just too hard. But actually getting there
mm.
and working it through and them feeling my not necessarily frustration, but my energy against it and what I'm trying to do and what you're trying to do. That to me was like a real eye opener to working, especially in another language. And the
Yes.
time that they work, the way that they work, their expectation of how they work, is so
Mm.
different from what we have here as well. I
Yes.
used to work out of Como a lot for printing fabrics, and again, got to know this kind of rhythm and style that they did. It's pretty funny, pretty fun, and pretty
Yeah.
fascinating overall. Lots of fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll have
Um,
to do a podcast after that's complete to tell you how it goes.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love that. That would be really fantastic with some, journey shots of it as well. Finish up by telling me some of your highlights of doing Dream Homes Revealed for Channel 9, and it's on TV now. Um, Tell me, things that you've gained from your perspective for the show and how you get to enjoy showing off the places that we get to go to. I'm sure we've got lots of common
Oh,
stories in this.
I know. I think we're so lucky, firstly. I think it's a real privilege. Like it's so fun. When it came along, was like, let's just try this because I think I get itchy feet. Like, let's try something new. So when this came along, I was like, let's go in there. And I think it's been, I think I've loved just getting meeting all these new people.
Hmm.
The people we get to chat with and explore, either their personal home or they've built it. It's really nice because I feel like sometimes we're in our own little bubble,
Yeah.
doing our own thing, and we forget maybe how somebody else does something else, or it's just making these new connections have found really valuable. Like I've really enjoyed getting to know the people and hearing their stories, and it's been such a great journey. And obviously the crew and
Yeah.
meeting you guys, it's been so fun. It's just been, yeah, this is our third season. Look at us, we're like veterans now, aren't
Veg.
we, Adrian?
We're old school. Old school. Yeah, I would say the same
We're
thing.
old school, that's right.
Yeah. Been around. Um, I think
Yeah.
the things that I've learnt from being on the show, one of the things that I've certainly seen is a big distinction between, say, a builder's design, a design that a builder's done, a design that an architect's done, and a design that a
Mm,
homeowner may have done, that they've just done it themselves
mhm,
and used a draftsman. The big distinctions in the value of how design works, and the ones who have done the same with interior design, where they maybe haven't managed to. They're still beautiful homes, don't get me wrong. I'm being very picky, where they haven't managed to kind
mm,
of pull both those things beautifully together. And then
mm,
others who have done it so incredibly, um, and
mm.
seeing such a mix of it. And the other thing I've
Yeah.
noticed is how trends get driven through a marketplace, and you see these continually dropped same trend in different environments that I mean, we're very aware of the trends, but I see them repeating and I go, oh, okay, 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 yeah, like over time. And I see it when I watch you on TV, and I see it when I watch Rachel or any of the others as well. I'm
Yeah.
seeing the same. I go, oh, okay, so that's happening in Victoria, or that's happening in, New South Wales, and that's happening right here as well. And then I see that
Mm.
being built in my own journeying around my neighborhoods and where I'm working. I go, oh yeah, that looks like, season three, da 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 house.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like, I feel like, everyone's version of a dream home is different, which I
Yeah.
think, is just we see it in our own work, but it is nice to see what their version is. And I think, to like I certainly didn't grow up in a home that was even like renovated.
Mm,
So,
mm,
to see some of these homes all at different price points, apartments and great like, dual lock homes, all sorts of ones. You just go, wow, like they are beautiful and they're making it's the people within it, and they're going to make it
yeah.
their home and that's where they're going to make their memories. And so it is just as special as anything that we create, because of the people that's going to go in it. And yeah, I think it's pretty awesome that we get to meet the people that do it, hear the journey, and then, show everyone.
I must say I really love when say we're going to one that an architect is, being the one who's going to present it on the show, but I get to meet
Hmm.
the builder, and I get to meet the client, and I get to meet that's their
Yes.
home we're in, and I really enjoy talking to the client, even though they're never going to be on TV with it. I really enjoy that,
Yes.
talking to the client and going, unwrapping their journey of it, and the builder from their perspective of how hard it was or how easy it was and what their relationships were like. As you say, I think it's
Yeah,
an
definitely.
absolute privilege.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the clients are always so excited,
Mm.
they're always like, come in, of course, come in. And they're so proud to have their home on the television as well. So it's just awesome. You get to see that full circle, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's fabulous. Well, I'm looking forward to what we're shooting in season five. Uh, it's going to
Yes.
be really exciting to go and bunch or unwrap a bunch of new homes. I'm not shooting for another month or so. I'm on holidays, but that's partly because I am on holidays. I've got a couple of weeks off, and I'm going to the UK to my project in the UK, and I'm going to
Oh,
Italy as well for a conference, and I might go to Como. If I'm going to head to Como, you have to hook me up to go and see your project. That would be really fun.
oh yeah, I'll do my best.
Yeah, that would be really fun to go and have a nosy at it. Yeah, those kinds of things. Uh, yeah, so I've got a few weeks off, and then we start shooting when I get back, which will be good. Be really cool. Marianne,
Good.
you have given us such a fun journey, which I would fully expect from you because that's who you are. You're so fun to spend
Ah.
time with. I think your clients are blessed to have you. Uh, you bring beautiful energy and so much talent to the space, and you leave the space glowing. You leave it glowing, but it
I
also glows from what the work you leave behind as well.
I appreciate that, Adrian. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, absolute pleasure. And we will talk soon. Hopefully, when I come to Sydney next, let's see if we can go and record something at the Citadel. That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
let's totally do that. I'll do
Yeah.
a tour.
Yeah, do a tour
Great
and
idea.
we'll use the podcast
Or
room and
AR.
yeah. Yeah, we'll do something. That'd be fun. That'd be really cool.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you, Adrian.
Take care. Have a beautiful day. See you, hon.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into our conversation. I hope it left you both informed and inspired. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen. And please don't hesitate to share your design thoughts with me. It's always a joy to hear from you. If you're like me and crave a deeper dive into design thinking, coupled with a love for travel and adventure, consider one of my architectural adventures. Join me and some of my wonderful design friends and embark on a journey of a lifetime. Apply for an unforgettable design experience at adrianramsay.com. With our clients spanning the globe, I firmly believe behind every great project are great people. If you're a great person and seeking to turn your dream into a reality, I'd be honored to design your home with you. Why not join the ranks of our exceptional clients and let's make your heart sing? Reach out to me at studio@ardesignhouse.com. That's studio@ardesignhouse.com, and let's get a conversation going and make your heart sing.